Hello BookTube. Well, I'm going to be doing a bit of a review today on some books, and I'm going to be starting with my least favourite working through to my favourite. And yeah, let's just get on with it. So the first book I'm going to be talking about is The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Steyn. Man, so this book is narrated by Enzo the dog, and as it is told in a circular plot line, so it starts at the end, you know that this is not going to end well. Man, that was pretty much the only part of this book I cared about. Okay, so what is the story about? So here you have Enzo with his owner, whose name I really couldn't care about, and they are together before his human finds a wife, has a child, etc. And then you find out early on that his wife has got a brain tumor, and she inevitably dies as a result. And while this story is not about the struggles of a want-to-be racing driver with the difficulty of single parenthood, which it should have been, it's a story about the worst set of in-laws you could ever imagine, and how to kick a man when he could not be more down if he tried. Because what they do to this poor guy, sure. And of course, while all of this is happening, he has his dog with him. And yeah, man. You know, I don't usually cry over books. Since my dad died, I cry over scenes where people lose parents. And it's actually got a lot less to do with the book and a lot more to do with my dad. But this, oh man, it was ugly tears. I looked like somebody was pulling my toenails out. It was terrible. I had such a headache after reading this. Did not like that part, and I thought it was going to be a safe read because by accident I'd managed to buy the kiddie version first, and I saw that I'd done that because that was on special. It's like $60. I heard about it, I'll go buy it, and then I got home and read the abridged kiddie version. I wonder what they cut out, like everything's sad. And so they exchanged it for the grown-up version, which was 4 or 5 times the price. And then but I thought it would be safe. I mean, who would want their children to read about stuff like that? That's terrible. Although I suppose, you know, think twice about who your in-laws are before you will be before you get married. Anyway, so the second book I want to talk about is 20,000 Lists Beneath the Sea by Jules Verne. And if you think that I've said that wrong, I did not. They named this book wrong. It is about lists under the sea. So the premise of the story is actually quite alright. You have Arronax, who's a professor, scientist, and he ends up getting involved in an expedition for a monster that is attacking ships randomly in the oceans. And he has his personal manservant with him, and they mention a harpoonist because they're going to obviously kill this monster. Of course, the monster ends up being a submarine called the Nautilus, and it bashes up their ship, and it manages to rescue Arronax, the manservant, and the harpoonist. And I mean, that side of the story is actually quite interesting. It covers a fair amount of realism. I mean, mankind, there's a beast, let's go kill it. I believe that. I wish it wasn't that way, but I believe that. And there were interesting aspects of the adventure under the sea, especially trying to escape from Nemo because he didn't want them to leave. He didn't want the secret of the Nautilus revealed. But yeah, my little animal anti-cruelty vibe found the brutality in this a bit disturbing. The massacre of it, was it sperm whales? That was brutal. It was bloody. When a harpoonist turns around and says, I'm not, and I had taken objection to the harpoonist, that says a lot. There were also aspects of it that, you know, it seems to run through all the classics where it's as though the writer really believes that one's servants were really quite happy to die for the master. I really doubt that the survival instinct in the working class or lower classes has only kicked in recently, and I'm pretty sure that the admiration that they think they felt was very good acting. But to put it into perspective where I'm going with this, at one point in time the Nautilus gets into a bit of poop and they cannot rise, so they can't get air into the submarine. And his manservant and the harpoonist are quite happy to give Aronnax their air because his life is more important. And things like that really irk me because I don't feel that that's realistic in the slightest. I think that in real life they would be fighting just as hard and would probably win because they've used muscles. Oh, and the 20,000 list part, that is what made this book the most boring thing to read. Because it was, oh look, there's a fish, and there's another fish with that kind of fin, and there's another fish, and there's another fish, and there's another fish, and there's another fish, and there's another fish with another fish, and of the genus of that type of fish, and that fish with that genus. It was just lists after lists, and I mean, if I were a marine biologist and I actually knew what he was talking about, it might have made me feel interested. I might have been able to visualize something, but in my mind all he was saying was there's a fish, and there's another fish, which just, I ended up really skim reading parts, and then eventually by the end I was skipping parts because it was just, oh no, not another list again, I can't do this. Surprise, this is me now 1 week later continuing the same book review list. Last time I ran out of battery as a result of all the homeschooling etc. that I've been doing of late. I have got a lot of orals. I teach 178 children. I have a lot of orals being sent to me on WhatsApp. They were due 3 months ago, so of course they've been coming through the last 2 weeks. So I didn't realize just how much of my phone they had taken up. So I've cleared off some space, those that I've marked, quite all of them. I am now waiting the next batch to arrive. Anyway, moving on with the book review. So the next book I was going to discuss is The Way of All Flesh by Ambrose Parry. Now first up, Ambrose Parry does not exist. It is a husband and wife team consisting of Chris Brookmeyer, who apparently is a crime writer, and his wife, Dr. Marissa Heitzman, and she's an anaesthetist, a consultant anaesthetist, something along those lines. So there's a medical line in there, and this is where the story gets interesting. So first of all, this is historical crime. So this is set to mid-1800s, if memory serves me right, and there is crime going on. Well, there's always crime going on. And this story, we're looking at a apprentice who is wanting to be a doctor, learning medicine. His name is Raven, or his surname's Raven, and Fisher, who is the housemaid, and Simpson, who doesn't really play a massive role, but he is the doctor that that's Raven is learning from, and so is Fisher in a way. And anyway, Raven, the story starts with Raven arriving at a prostitute's house, well, flat, room, whatever, probably a room, and she is there dead. He can see from the look on her face that this was not an easy death, and he runs away because his life is now starting. This is book one, and he has now got this apprenticeship, and obviously he doesn't want to wreck it. And this is where the story begins, with the deaths, we'll call them murders. And because this has to deal with women and gynecological issues, birth, etc. So this is where we go throughout the story. Nothing has made me happier to be a woman in the 2000s. You know, give me coronavirus any day. Well, don't give it to me, but you know, I'll take this living condition over that. Seriously, it was terrifying. I don't know how women didn't say, please go get yourself a prostitute, don't bring that thing near me, because seriously, I don't know who would want to be pregnant. The instruments that they used for, it's enough to put one off sex, and pregnancy, and marriage, and all that stuff, you know, just no. So anyway, so the story was enlightening because of the medical side of things. It was also interesting because of the crime, although it was really obvious as to who was doing it and what was going on, etc., etc. That wasn't any stretch of any mental leaps. I was going to say stretch of the imagination, but no imagination was required. There was no leaps required for this. It was pretty straightforward, but maybe that's because I read way too many crime novels, and maybe somebody who's less experienced would find it interesting. But having said all of that, the time period made that interesting. I haven't read many crime novels that are set before the Agatha Christie period, let's put it that way. So the last book that I'm talking about in this review is The Illumination of Ursula Flight, and this was a recommendation from Mel at Mel's Brookland Adventures, and she said this was one of the up-and-coming authors that she wished had been mentioned. I think, I could be wrong, but I think that's what she said about this. Sorry, but there's so many videos, I don't know where to start to go find something like that. Anyway, for one, stunning cover, just got to say that. I don't know if you can see all the gold shiny bits, but there are lots of gold shiny bits, and that's because underneath it all I'm still a shallow person who appreciates aestheticism. But you can see where the sticker ruined the cover there. But anyway, I suppose they couldn't give the book away, they had to put a price on it. So moving on, this story is also set quite some time ago, after Henry VIII, if memory serves me right. Oh, it gets confusing when you read so many so many historical pieces. And I have read a lot more than just these 4 books. Anyway, so Ursula Flight, you start off with her birth, and she was born at the time of a comet. Caused a serious amount of havoc. We're still back in the days where people were superstitious and believed in astrology. And Ursula, the firstborn child of the family, was allowed luxuries by her father, and by that I'm meaning she was taught how to read, write and do maths, and she was introduced to the sciences, astrology, etc, etc. And because of this, Ursula is not your regular girl for that day and age. She would be a very normal girl for today. And by that I'm meaning she can think for herself, and she enjoys thinking for herself. She wants the intellectual stimulation. She loves getting educated. She loves learning more. But as things happened in those days, and that day and age, she ends up getting married off at the age of 15 to a man who was 35. And I'm pretty sure that you can all remember back being 15 that 35 was past middle age, and it was a huge discrepancy with well, I mean, against her own age. I mean, it's huge. 20 years difference when you're 15 is huge. Anyway, and you also have to kind of wonder, especially with today's thoughts, what kind of a guy would want a wife who's 15? Well, I suppose I can think of many. But anyway, you know, what would really make a man tick? And a 15-year-old, I mean, she's a child. And anyway, so Ursula gets taken off to this guy's house, and I don't want to ruin the story, so I'm just going to leave it there. But it takes a lot of inner courage and strength for this girl to be resilient. She does start to break, but then things happen. And what I loved with this is that it does look at what the conditions were like for women in this day and age, where there was no choice, where marriages were decided. And obviously one also is very much aware of the fact that there are still women out there who are forced at this age and much younger into marriages that they are not interested in. And the way she describes the smell of his skin and the tacky, sweety feel of his touch, oh, was enough to put one off as well. Anyway, so I really enjoyed this book, because although it sounds like it is heavy and deep, the way this is actually structured, you have a narrative storyline until it gets to something that is super serious, with the exception of the very first one, where you have the children just breaking, and Ursula loves writing plays. She wants to go into the theatre, which was very, very not done for ladies of any standing. And so the first time this happens, you've just got the children playing, and it's really funny, because you can see how they kind of wreck their lines, and they refer to each other by name, and you know how the kiss was written in so that Ursula could kiss the guy that she liked, etc. It was really cute and delicious. But as the story progresses, and once she's got married, these little scenes are then written. The ones that are difficult are written in a play form, so they're made light of, although you can read between the lines and still see the gravity of the situation. But what it does is it makes this easy to get through. It also picks up the pace. You don't have to plod through emotional trauma and distress or anything like that. You get this humorous little insert of the parts that are a lot more difficult, as I said, and or a lot more disturbing. And I don't think it actually takes away the disturbing. As I said, you know, this book, I still just picture this guy's tacky skin and the taste of his mouth and the smell of him, because he was very clean. He bathed once every 6 months. And so I can't say that it reduced a lot, but it made one, you had to read between the lines. It was, let me compare it, like Emma Donohue's Room, being written through the child's eyes. You didn't have what the mother was thinking, and that's what this does. It takes away that aspect, so it leaves you to work it all out for yourself, and I like that. It also made it a lot more enjoyable, I'm going to be honest, because there's only so much that one can plow through in a lifetime that's depressing. Anyway, I am now going to put last week's self and this week's self together and give you a whole video, and that should be it. Let's hope that I can keep this up and do a lot more book reviews and get my channel up and running again, because that would be nice. It's nice seeing you guys, and it's nice hearing from you, and until the next video, bye for now, happy reading and stay safe.